Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Technology Committee meeting. Before I get started, I'd like to just state that the Pennridge School Board welcomes public comment. According to Policy 903, we remind everyone of the following. Public comment shall be limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise specified by the board. Participants must be recognized by the presiding officer and note their name and municipality. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer rather than individual board members, district employees, or members of the public. The speaker may speak once during each comment period. Please note, these sessions are designated for comments to protect the confidentiality and privacy rights of all members of our community. The board encourages members of the public to direct any comments regarding particular individuals, such as students or district employees, privately to the superintendent or other appropriate administrators or board members, or to communicate with the board and superintendent privately by sending an email to psdschoolboard@pennridge.org. Questions raised and not addressed may be followed up at a later time. So I did check the sign-in sheet. I didn't see anybody signed in for comments, but we'll open it up to public comments at this time. Do we have any public comments? Okay. Seeing none, we will race right into the agenda. We have one item on the agenda tonight. It is a technology department overview prepared by Mrs. Miller, the Director of the Technology Department, to highlight the district technology in use, how we've deployed our resources, and how we support all of that technology. So, Mrs. Miller.
Thank you very much and good evening. So as Mr. Krause said, what I'd like to present tonight is a technology department overview. At the end of this presentation, just so nobody is surprised, I am requesting additional resources. So what I would like to, personnel resources that is. So what I'd like to do in this presentation is lay out kind of the past of the department, where we are presently and where we should be going in the future with devices and with personnel as well. So the department structure is a very simple department structure. It's just a flat organizational chart. We have the data side where we have a data administrator and assistant data administrator, and then we have the more technical side of the house where we have a network technician, a lead technician, and then we have 4 computer field technicians. The lead technician also does some of the field work as well, but there's a distinction in the title there. So it's a flat organizational chart with everyone reporting to the Director of Technology.
Diane, could you just remind us what slide you're on as you go through?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can't see.
I know you can't. So I'm sorry. I'm on slide number 3 now. And it's entitled Staff Deployment. So the next slide does show how the staff is deployed. So the high school is probably our biggest program, definitely our biggest program. So we have 1.5 dedicated techs to the high school program, and they are responsible for administering the entire one-to-one program, and then also handling the classroom needs of the teachers and the administrators in the building. So they handle the flow of the laptops through processing in the event that a student forgets their laptop in the morning or their laptop isn't working at some point during the day. They cycle through the laptop. There's some triage, some very basic triage that is done on each laptop that comes in. There's some paperwork that's filled out on each laptop that comes in. If it can't be fixed, then we have to determine whether it's going out for an ADP, which is accidental damage protection claim, or a warranty claim. So we have 1.5 techs who are assigned right now to doing all of that work at the high school. Currently, we also utilize some resources at the library. The librarian is also currently helping with some of the checking in and out of the loaners. It has been presented to me that next year, all of those functions will be assumed by the tech department as well, instead of using the librarian. So we're going to have to bolster that tech resource there at the high school. So at the middle school currently, and we have 3 middle schools, everyone knows that, we have 1 dedicated tech resource, and he's responsible for the student laptops, the teacher laptops, the STEM program. He does imaging, he does breakage, well, he doesn't break things, but he's responsible for the paperwork for the breakage, the lending program. So that's really 1 dedicated tech there. Then at the elementary schools throughout our 7 buildings, we do have 2 techs that kind of split the 7 elementary schools. The lead tech is assigned to 3 of the elementary schools, but she's not only the field tech, but as the lead tech, she provides all the asset management and the inventory. So she does all the inventory, she does all the barcodes, all the asset tags. She obsoletes everything that comes through you once a month. You know, the old equipment, she has to make sure that all the records are correct for obsoleting, for recycling. She does orders, she images, and then she watches the flow of the help desk as well. And then the other tech who's assigned at the elementary buildings, he's not only in charge of, I guess he's got 4 buildings, but he's also in charge of the iPads throughout the district. So we have right now about 1,000 iPads. So he's in charge of the MDM, or the mobile device management system, for the iPads. He's in charge of, he's like our phone expert as well. And he attends the set meetings for special ed, because he helps to get the programs on. He doesn't say what the students need as far as the special ed programs, but he'll do the actual installs and make sure that everything is compatible in the laptops that the students are using. So they're kind of spread a little bit thin through there. And then we have, for district-wide, we have our network and our server support, and there's 1.5 techs assigned to that as well. And they're responsible for the health of the network, so for network monitoring, for any kind of updates and upgrades. They handle the virtual, the VM virtual environment, the filter, anything, like I said, with the switches. So that's what they kind of do as well. And then we have the data side, and we have a database administrator and an assistant database administrator, and they're really the 2 people who provide the support for all the data applications, or most of the data applications, I should say, not all of them, throughout the district. And I do have a slide that kind of tells what they support as well. So that's staff deployment currently. And I'm going to go to the next slide. So the next slide just has kind of a laundry list of the devices that we support throughout the district. And I say more than 7,300 devices. There's probably more than 8,300 devices. But you can just see that we have laptops. We have laptops at the high school, at the middle school. We have carts. We have labs. We have teacher workstations. We have STEM that we're responsible for now to a point. We have the iPads that I talked about. We have virtual servers. We have switches. We now have phones. We have cameras. We have projectors, Mimeos, Elmos, copiers, printers. So I just wanted you to see like kind of a comprehensive list, well, maybe not quite comprehensive list, of what we do support in the technology department. Going on to the next slide, I'm looking at the applications and services that we support. So one of the main applications that we support, and most people, everybody behind me probably, is a user of PowerSchool, which is our student information system. And there's 3 modules to PowerSchool. There's the PowerSchool admin side, and that's where the principals or the guidance counselors or the secretaries, that's where they're doing their day-to-day work. Then there's the Power Teacher Gradebook, and just as the name indicates, it's where the teachers live, and that's where they do their work. And then we also have the parent piece as well, so we support the community. We have an email address that's set up for parent questions as well, so we try and help them through some of their technical issues as well. And then we have InfoSnap, and InfoSnap is the student registration and returning student verification system. I put Canvas up there, which is the learning management system. We work with Canvas as far as integrating some of the accounts, but Mrs. Gurish is I call her the Canvas queen. So, but I did put that up there because that does fall under us to a point. And then we have SunGuard, we have Kronos, and they're the business applications. We have Linkit, which is the student assessment software. And again, on here. One of the big things that the data team does is the PIM state reporting. We're up to now, I think there's 17 ACSs throughout the year, which is an accuracy certification statement that the data needs to be certified. And our PIMS reporting is done through our database administrator, and she does a phenomenal job with it. We do all the account management, we do online testing support, and more. So just to throw that out there with you as well. So going on to the next slide then, I just want to kind of go through a device deployment history. I want to take you into the past, I want to show you the present, and I want to take you into the future a little bit. So back in the 12-13 school year, that's when the one-to-one pilot commenced. So we started with 90 laptops. And you can see as you look through that slide that each year we added an additional 600 laptops until, and it's on the next slide, it's 16, 17, when we had the full rollout of all the laptops at the one-to-one program at the high school. And at that point, we also had all the high school teachers with laptops as well. So you can sort of see the progression as we're going through here. So that's what the totals are. I'm just trying to total that up for you. And then as we do device deployments continued on page 7, you can see that not only in 16, 17 did we complete the rollout of the one-to-one at the high school, but we also provided laptops for the elementary teachers at that point. We bolstered our elementary iPads at that point. We redid some of our labs at the middle school. So again, continuing to roll with the number of devices. This past year was an incredible leap for us. We started with the middle schools. So we started with the middle schools in 6th grade. We went through the middle school teachers. They were all provided with a laptop. We got the STEM program, which you guys were so supportive of, which is just a phenomenal program out there in the middle schools. We did our switch refresh, we put the phones in, we put the cameras in, so it was a big year. So that's where we are presently. So now into 18-19, and you heard this proposal, I guess, last month, we're proposing to continue in the middle schools. So we'll be giving, bolstering the 6th grade again with, that should be the 7th grade. Just realized that the 7th grade will be getting the laptops. I'm sorry, I looked at this a million times. 7th grade will be getting laptops as long as that's all approved. We have to bolster our infrastructure a bit with some additional wireless access points in the middle schools to make sure now as we have more and more students with laptops that we have our wireless coverage. And then we're also looking at a server storage solution upgrade, and that's coming along as well. So going into the future then, even beyond 18-19, if we look to 19-20, and I don't have this on a slide, I'm just speaking to this, we're going to assume that we'll be providing devices to the 8th grade that next year, so, into 19-20. So in effect, we're going to end up being a one-to-one at the middle schools as well. And I certainly, we've talked about how we're going to allow those students to use those devices, and, it's kind of projected that there'll actually be a one-to-one where they're taking those home as well. So then we have those additional devices. And then if you keep thinking about it, are we going to stop at the middle schools then, or are we going to start to push down into the elementaries as well? And we haven't really, gotten to that point, but that's where I see the handwriting on the wall that that's where we're going to be going then. So devices just keep adding up, in other words. So on to slide number 8. I went into the help desk ticketing system, and I went from 2015 through the current year. And you can see that there is a progression of tickets that are created and closed each year. Right now we're on track to have approximately 7,000 tickets throughout this year. Right now, currently, we've closed 5,182 tickets. We have 141 open, and we have like 92 on hold, which are awaiting a response. But that ticket number is not 100% accurate because it doesn't include our unticketed support. And when I talk about unticketed support, I talk about when a tech goes into a middle school or an elementary school for one ticket, and they're pulled into other directions as well. And our motto is to serve the teachers, and if we're not serving the teachers, then we're not doing our job. So we're not going to say, in most cases, you got to put a ticket in or I'm not going to talk to you. So there are definitely things that we're doing that we are just not getting into the ticketing system, which I wish right now I had everything in the ticketing system if I'm using that as this metric here. But I want you to think beyond this and think beyond that we're not just doing these tickets, that we're doing so much more as well. When I pulled the average time to close the tickets, it was like 17 days according to the help desk. So again, that's probably some of the staff just not closing them quickly enough, or we're really taking that long because it's taking us a while to get to some of the requests that are in the help desk ticket or in the help desk. We try and do anything we prioritize, so anything that is keeping a teacher from actually delivering content, of course, is going to get priority. So sometimes we just don't have the staff to get to everything in a very timely manner. So then if we go on to slide number 9, I just wanted to show the historic staffing levels. So back in 13-14, we had a staff of 7 here in the district, and 7 includes the director as well. There was the director, database administrator, and 5 computer technicians. And then in 14-15, the department was reworked a little bit. So there were new positions created, but not added. So those 2 new positions of lead technician and network technician, their job descriptions were changed, so it was a promotion from within, but we didn't add additional text there for those 2 positions. We did contract 1 additional position that year, though, and that was a level 1 technician, and we did do a contract for that position, and it was a 3-year contract. The problem that we had with that position was in 3 years we had 4 people in it. We couldn't keep somebody in that position. Again, I think you're expecting that person to do the same work that a district employee is doing, and they get a little bit of training and they see that they're not getting the benefits and they're not reaping some of the benefits that the school district provides, and they moved on. So in 17-18, we converted that technician position, that contracted position, to a district employee. We just find that we can bolster a little bit better. It's a little bit more continuity. We haven't lost anybody, so that's a good thing. We had also added the assistant data administrator in the 15-16 school year, and that's what bolstered us up to 9 people in the department. And that started out as a 1-year contract. And then in 16-17, we converted that to a district employee as well. So on to just the summary slide, I just want to say that the technology department is responsible for so much more than just the tickets. We're responsible to keep everything up and running. Right now the expectation is always on, always available, and individualized, focused on attention on the end user. Because again, if the technology is not working, as we become more and more integrated, it ties the hands of the teachers more and more. So are we doing a most perfect job? We're trying, but again, the demands are at this point starting to really weigh us down more than we can handle at some points. So in conclusion, the mission of the technology department is to exceed expectation of all users. And we pride ourselves on that. We pride ourselves on customer first, and hopefully we're doing, we're keeping mark with that. But the demands, we're not keeping, the department resources are not keeping pace with the deployment of the additional devices and technology. My team is either at or near 100% capacity. And the other thing that happens is if somebody is out either on vacation or they have a sick day or a personal day, I don't have any coverage. I don't have anybody floating. So normally, if somebody's out, that building doesn't get the attention at that point, unless there's an emergency. But the day-to-day sometimes will suffer. So the greatest need, as I feel right now, is for the technicians in the schools dealing with the day-to-day support requests. So I come before you humbly, requesting 2 additional level 1 technicians, starting salary of $45,000 a year. Total cost comes out to about $84,000 per technician. That cost is already in the preliminary personnel budget, so I believe you've already seen that in an aggregate number someplace. So that is really what my main request is here today. I thank you so much for the support that you guys give. I mean, the board is so supportive of technology, and I really hope, that we can, I appreciate your consideration for this, and I hope you see the need as I see the need. And you can just write the job posting now, and I'll be out of here. Yeah, no? No, but seriously, so questions?
I have a few questions, so
Sure.
bear with me. When it takes 17 days to close a ticket, what is that student doing? Do they have a device? Are they?
Oh, no, that doesn't necessarily mean that the device has been taken from the student for 17 days. That could be, we're having a connection issue. That could be we're having some type of an account
Well, essentially
issue.
it's taken away, they don't have access to it, correct?
Yeah, but it's not always
Yeah.
access. It's not always an access ticket. So they always, if there's something wrong with the laptop, it's replaced. Like there's a loaner that's taken out.
That's what, that was
So-
always, okay.
So yes, so it could be out to Integra, who does like our repair work even.
Okay.
So, the ADP, the warranty work, or the non-warranty work. So, but it's beyond just that warranty work, sometimes through that ticket.
Okay, and are you saying we have no contracted employees right now in your
Correct.
area? Okay. The third thing, and maybe Mr. Costa should direct this to you, I'm not sure. Back in the fall, I had sent a request to you that a parent said that their device had been replaced like 4 times within the 4 years that they had the device. And I asked if there was data supporting that or if there was an anomaly. Did we ever hear anything? You gave me information from Lenovo, but never, not from our district. So how was that matching up?
I do have an extract from the ticketing system, which is probably 3 months old at this point. And I've gone through that, Mrs. Miller, and I can see there's some repeats, but 90% of the time, and you can speak to this, it relates to cracked case, cracked screen, cracked this, cracked that.
Well, I meant outside of student damage.
I'm not seeing that.
You're not seeing anything with the Lenovo? Okay, I never really got a full answer
Yeah,
about
I'm sorry.
that. Yeah, I never, you said you were going to get a dump, but I couldn't read a
I
dump
have,
if you
okay.
gave me a dictionary. A data dump. Okay, so you're feeling that we're within
Right,
functional
and does
limits.
that align with your experience as well?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so Lenovo is still the go-to device that we're,
And as I speak to other districts who have other devices, I mean, there's problems with all of them, quite honestly. When you have that many devices there and you're using them the way we use them, yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I had a Lenovo. I'm not opposed to that, but this parent
Right.
said they had been through 4 devices. So anyway,
Right.
okay, so we're within functional limits. Okay, thank you. I never got that answer. Thank you.
My apologies. Okay, other board members, comments, questions, concerns?
I have one question. You mentioned on one of the slides that you support the copiers and the printers, but don't we have a contract for the copiers to have a service technician just for that?
And yes, we do. We have a service technician who is available 8 hours a day. So with the contract, your memory is right on there. They deal with the physical copier, but if we have a driver issue or they can't connect for some reason, then that falls to us. So anything physical falls to Rico. Anything that is network is us.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say that I will attest to the fact that Mrs. Miller has a department where they really do try to give the best customer service. They never say no, they do it with a smile. Even when we put more things on their plate, they figure out a way to make it happen. And I'm one of the people who hijacks Mrs. Miller, especially about 4:30 in the morning when she answers the phone very chipper and helps me out with our Blackboard Connect messages. But they do a great job and they work very hard. And they are definitely having more equipment to service. And I think they need help.
Okay. So, any other comments, questions, concerns? Okay.
I'll just make a comment, I think, and just tell me if I'm wrong, just from my own experience in my school, that, I mean, a ticket might not be a hardware problem, it could be, I can't get to this website, or my students can't get to this website, and they're, like, some of them can get on and some of them can't, so what can you fix that?
Well, that's what I meant by
Right.
access.
Right, so, I mean, so it's not just, hardware, it's all different things.
Correct.
Right. And I think also that if the ticket's open, I mean, just again, from my experience, it might be open for 17 days, but it doesn't mean that nobody's talked to you about it. Like, I've had issues where somebody got back to me right away, but it remains open because they're still waiting to see if I'm still having that issue.
Correct. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
maybe I should have clarified. I didn't mean that you didn't get back to them in 17 days, but that was the concern or the issue
Right.
resolved. And by access, I meant to the software, yeah.
Yeah, and just, and from my kids, I mean, I think sometimes too, like, my one son has a loaner, and I mean, he has a loaner, and then, while you wait for it to come back, the ticket's still open. So I think there'd be a lot of reasons why the tickets are open that long.
Yes, and I think you've hit upon many of them, and sometimes the ticket's in there and it's more of a project than really just like a quick fix, like, we want to redesign a form, or, we have an issue with a report card or something, so that might be in there as a ticket as well, but that's not something that, a tech's going to sit down and fix momentarily. That sometimes takes a lot of research, and so the tickets remain open for those reasons as well.
And just one other question you had, you mentioned, so an option is to have a contract position. So that would be okay, and use it for a year, would it be? Or just to see if there's a need, or what's your suggestion for that?
So I would really like just full-time, so we don't have to deal with the whole, with the people leaving. But again, I leave it to you for direction, so. Put it this way, I would take it.
But if it was an option to I'm sorry, I didn't see year, I had that in my head, a year. Did you say for a year, or am I making that up?
So it would depend on how we write the contract.
Okay. But if they have the option to be employed, don't you think that would give them more incentive to stay in the position?
Yes.
As opposed to the techs that we're already losing?
Correct,
I
that
don't
would
know.
be.
I like this option of doing a contracted position with the option to hire. That's my feeling.
So, and I can certainly look into that with one of the companies or two companies and see how we could write, some kind of a contract. But again, just from historically, you're then at their mercy of who their people are, the pool.
I understand
So-
that. I understand
And
that.
I understand your point as well.
Isn't that where we got two of our employees from? Weren't they originally from there, and then we ended up contracting them because we liked them so much, and then ended up keeping them back, they were originally contracted, and then we made them district employees because we were happy with them.
We did that with one of the techs, the other one we did not. We went out for hire. So when the data administrator position was up, we didn't, that contract we could not extend. We couldn't hire that person, so we did have to go out and hire just a full-time employee. So we converted one employee, but you're right.
Right. From my side, I'm a fan of the contract to hire idea because it does not lock us in to any particular person. And hopefully, when we write the contract and go out and seek that resource, that we're able to lock in on an individual for a period of time, which, as Mrs. Miller indicated, gives us an ability to assess that individual. Do they fit with us? And then there's no real long-term commitment if you wanted to make a change, if it wasn't working in your best interest and the best interest of the students and teachers.
And they're incentivized
Yes.
to do a good job if they want to be employed.
Absolutely. So it's a contract to hire
Correct.
position, and that's the way it would be identified. Okay, so does anybody have any issues with moving the request forward to the personnel side of budgeting? Good, you're good? Good. Okay.
Thank you all very much for your support. It's very much appreciated. I'm going to go home and do the happy dance. Thank you.
I'll do it for us.
Thank you,
Now, I
Mrs.
don't
Miller.
want to be.
These meetings get boring.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. And the efforts and the support of your staff are recognized, and please make sure that they know that we appreciate them as well.
They're a good group, so I'll pass it on. Thank you very much.
Mr. Crasso, is it, I mean, we still have to go through the whole budget before we make the
Absolutely,
final decision.
absolutely. So
Right.
so
You're
what
saying
I'm
we're moving that
suggesting,
to the
move it
next-
to the personnel
To the
section.
next step.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, everybody good? Okay. So that's the sum total of our agenda tonight, and I will open it up one last time for public comment, if anybody has any. Mrs. Furlong, could you please come to the podium, state your name, municipality? Please.
Sue Furlong, West Rock Hill Township. I just had a quick question on that last slide. I was a little bit confused. It said one technician, and it said 45,000, and it said total cost 84,000, but there's two technicians. Was one technician a $45,000 per year and the other was 84, or should it have been 45 plus 45?
I believe that's the 84 represents the burdened cost, including benefits, et cetera.
And that represents two people?
No, that's each.
Just one?
That's each, yes.
Oh, 84 per technician.
Fully burdened, yes.
I see. So that would be $168,000.
Roughly.
Okay. And are those 9-month employees or 12-month employees?
I don't know the answer to that. They're 12-month employees.
Okay. And it was stated that last year we had the telephones, we had the camera installations. So I think there was a larger than usual burden on that department. And I believe it was sort of a bump in the road type of burden where those things will not be repeated. So I think using a temp to hire gives you hopefully the flexibility to say, well, gee, without those two bumps in the road, maybe the staffing that we currently have is adequate. Or maybe we can make them 9-month employees instead of 12-month, because we don't have telephones again and we don't have installation of cameras again. That's just a thought.
Point taken. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. With that, we will close the Technology Committee meeting. The next meeting is scheduled for April 9th in this building at this location. Thanks. At this time.
Okay. All right, I'm going to call the curriculum